High, we thought ancient quasars were lonely monsters that killed nearby stars with radiation. But JWST just proved the opposite, a hidden glow of billions of young stars shining brightly around them, forming at insane rates. The universe was supposed to be a graveyard in these regions, where only the hungry ghosts of black holes could survive. We believed for decades that the most powerful engines in the cosmos pushed away the delicate clouds needed for life. It was a reasonable assumption that such violence would scour the surrounding space, clean of any potential for new creation. But the silence of the deep vacuum has whispered a different story to us through the golden mirrors of our telescope. There is a warmth hidden beneath the cold fury of the quasar that changes everything we thought we knew about origins. We are drifting back now to a time when the universe was less than 1 billion years into its life. The darkness here is heavy and thick, pressing against the senses with the weight of 13 billion years of history. You are floating in the void where the first galaxies were struggling to pull themselves together from the primordial mist. It is a time known to astronomers as redshift 6, a distance so vast that light tires before reaching us. The cosmos was smaller then, crowded with gas and heat, a frantic nursery where structure was just beginning to emerge. In this ancient epoch, we see bright beacons piercing the gloom, shining with the luminosity of 1 trillion suns combined. These are the quasars, the active hearts of young galaxies, powered by supermassive black holes feeding on the surrounding matter. We have always looked at them with a mixture of awe and terror, seeing them as engines of absolute destruction. They are the brightest objects in the universe, visible across the entire observable span of space and time. Imagine standing on a planet near such a beast, looking up into a sky dominated by a blinding, searing eye. The radiation pours out in torrents, stripping electrons from atoms and heating the gas to millions of degrees instantly. We assumed that nothing fragile could survive in the shadow of such overwhelming power and such unyielding cosmic aggression. It seemed obvious that the wind from the quasar would blow away the hydrogen gas needed to form new stars. We thought the host galaxies of these monsters would be dead and barren, starved of the fuel for creation. This belief shaped our models of cosmic evolution, painting a picture of a violent and lonely early universe. But the universe has a way of humbling us just when we think we have understood its deepest secrets. The James Webb Space Telescope opened its infrared eyes in the darkness and peered closer than we ever could before. It looked past the glare, staring with patience into the centers of these ancient storms to see what lay beneath. What it found there was not a barren wasteland, but a hidden glow that had been lost in the brilliance. It is the soft and steady light of billions of stars wrapped around the black hole like a protective cloak. This discovery is a shock to the system, overturning the idea that quasars suppress the growth of their host galaxies. Instead of killing their neighbors, these monsters seem to be living in the center of a thriving, bustling metropolis. The realization comes slowly, like a dream surfacing from the depths of sleep, bringing with it a sense of wonder. We are not looking at death, but at birth on a scale that is almost impossible for the mind to grasp. The light from these stars has traveled through the expanding dark for eons, waiting for us to finally receive it. Let us drift closer to one of these ancient beacons, letting the gravity of the scene pull us in gently. The quasar sits at the center, a point of light so intense that it defies the very concept of brightness. But look closer, shielding your eyes from the central glare, and you will see the faint fuzz of the galaxy. This is the host, galaxy starlight, a signal that was previously impossible to separate from the overwhelming shine of the quasar. It was like trying to see a firefly hovering next to a searchlight while standing 10 miles away in fog. For years, the firefly was invisible, lost in the noise and the scattering of the light that drowned it out. But technology has advanced, and with it, our ability to filter out the noise and find the signal of truth. The year 2025 marked a turning point in our understanding of these deep cosmic structures and their hidden stellar populations. We learned to subtract the light of the quasar, peeling it away digitally to reveal the structure of the host. It is a delicate operation requiring a precision that borders on the miraculous, treating light like a physical substance. When the glare is removed, the darkness does not return. Instead, a new shape begins to materialize in the void. It is a shape defined by the collective glow of young stars, huddled together against the cold of the early universe. These stars are not old and dying. They are young, vibrant, and burning with a fierce, blue-white intensity. They speak of a galaxy that is alive, churning out new suns at a rate that staggers the imagination. The data tells us that stars are forming here at a rate of hundreds of solar masses every single year. Compare that to our own Milky Way, which leisurely produces only 1 or 2 new stars in the same time frame. This is a starburst of epic proportions, a frenzy of creation happening right on the doorstep of the devourer. It is a paradox that the mind struggles to reconcile, the destroyer and the creator living in the same house. How can a black hole, which eats light and matter, exist so comfortably alongside a nursery of fragile young stars? The answer lies in the sheer density of the early universe, a time when matter was packed tight and abundant. Gravity was working overtime, pulling gas streams in from the cosmic web to feed both the monster and the galaxy. It is a crowded place, filled with the raw materials of existence, swirling and condensing into new forms of light. We see overdensities of matter, thick clouds of potential that are collapsing under their own weight to ignite nuclear fusion. The quasar may be powerful, but it is not alone. It is surrounded by a court of billions of shining attendants. There is something profoundly beautiful about this image, a reminder that life and light find a way to persist. Even in the most hostile environments we can imagine, the universe is busy weaving the fabric of future worlds. We used to think of the quasar phase as the end of a galaxy's youth, a sign of shutting down. Now we see it might be the peak of its adolescence, a time of rapid growth and frantic energy release. The NIRS PEC instrument on the telescope allowed us to break the light down into its component colors and chemical fingerprints. This spectral decomposition is the key to unlocking the secrets of what is actually glowing in those distant pixels. We look for the telltale signs of stellar atmospheres, the specific absorption lines that only stars can imprint on light. It is like hearing a specific note in a symphony, a hum that tells you the violins are playing. Underneath the screaming emission lines of the heated gas near the black hole, we found the stellar continuum. This is the smooth, broad river of light that comes from the surfaces of billions of stars shining together. It was faint, barely a whisper against the shout of the quasar, but it was undeniably present in the data. The presence of Balmer breaks in the spectrum confirmed that these were indeed stars, and not just hot gas clouds. These breaks are jagged drops in the light intensity that happen when hydrogen atoms in stellar atmospheres absorb energy. They are the fingerprints of stars that have been burning for a few 100 million years, settling into their lives. Finding this signature at redshift 6 is like finding a written letter from a civilization we thought never existed. It changes the narrative from one of solitary monsters to one of co-evolution, where galaxies and black holes grow together. The black hole is growing, yes, but so is the galaxy, building its stellar mass at a breakneck speed. We are seeing the ancestors of massive galaxies like our own, caught in their most formative and violent years. But amidst the violence, there is this unexpected blue excess, a color that signals the presence of massive young stars. Blue is the color of heat and youth in the cosmos, the sign of stars that burn fast and bright. They are short-lived, these blue giants, destined to explode as supernovae and seed the galaxy with heavy elements. Their presence means that star formation did not stop millions of years ago. It is happening right now, continuously. The dust-reddened hidden starbursts are also there, shrouded in clouds of soot that block the visible light from escaping. But the infrared gaze penetrates the dust, revealing the heat of the newborn stars nestled deep within their cocoons. It is a scene of bustling activity, a cosmic construction site where the foundations of the future are being laid. The Quasar feedback model challenge is now front and center in the minds of cosmologists who study these eras. We thought the feedback, the energy pushing out from the black hole, was negative, shutting down the star formation. Now we must consider the possibility of positive feedback, where the pressure actually compresses gas and triggers new stars. It is a delicate balance between destruction and creation, a dance on the edge of a knife in the dark. Perhaps the wind from the quasar clears a path for light, or perhaps it shocks the gas into collapsing. The complexity of the interaction is far greater than our simple models of blowing away the gas could ever capture. We are witnessing a symbiotic relationship, a dangerous but fruitful partnership between the dark heart and the bright body. As we drift through this simulation of the data, try to feel the scale of the distances involved here. The light from the quasar takes thousands of years just to cross the span of its own host galaxy. To the stars on the outskirts, the central engine is just a bright star in the night sky. They do not know they are orbiting a monster. They only know the pull of gravity holding them in. It is quiet out here in the spiral arms, far from the chaotic wind that screams near the center. The vacuum is cold, hovering just above absolute zero, waiting for the warmth of the first suns to touch it. You can feel the isolation of these early galaxies, islands of light in an ocean of expanding dark nothingness. They are rare, these massive systems, separated by millions of light years of empty space that stretches on forever. But inside them, the universe is busy, rushing to create the complexity that will eventually lead to planets and life. It is a humbling thought that the heavy atoms in your body may have been forged in such a place. The iron in your blood and the calcium in your bones were cooked in the hearts of stars like these. We are connected to this ancient epoch by a chain of matter and energy that has never been broken. The light we capture today is a ghost, a memory of a time when the universe was fundamentally different. And yet, the physics are the same. Gravity pulls, pressure pushes, and light travels at its constant, unwavering speed. There is a comfort in this continuity, a sense that the laws of nature are a steady hand holding us. The mystery deepened when we looked at the companion galaxies that often attend these massive quasar hosts. These are smaller galaxies caught in the gravitational web, falling inward to merge with the central giant eventually. They too are forming stars, contributing their own light to the hidden glow that we have finally uncovered. It is a gathering of clans, a cosmic merger that will build the massive elliptical galaxies we see today. The sheer mass of these systems in the early universe is a puzzle that keeps astronomers awake at night. How did so much matter come together so quickly, so soon after the Big Bang set the clock running? It suggests that the seeds of these galaxies were planted very early, perhaps in the first moments of time. The dark matter halos that hold them must be enormous, guiding the gas into the deep gravitational wells. We cannot see the dark matter, but we can feel its influence in the way the stars move. It is the invisible scaffolding of the universe, the skeleton upon which the visible light is draped like skin. And the quasar is the beating heart, pumping energy out into the web, affecting everything it touches. We used to think the heart was poison, but now we see it might be the engine of growth. The realization brings a sense of peace, a resolution to a conflict that existed only in our minds. The universe is not a war zone between black holes and stars. It is a complex, interwoven ecosystem. We drift further into the data, letting the numbers dissolve into a landscape of light and shadow and color. Imagine floating just above the plane of the galaxy, looking down at the spiral arms glowing with blue fire. The center is a blinding white, a maelstrom of energy where the black hole is feeding on the gas. But around it, the disk of the galaxy stretches out, vast and beautiful, filled with the promise of future worlds. The dust lanes cut through the starlight, dark rivers of soot where the next generation of stars is waiting. It is a scene of serene violence, a slow-motion collision of forces that plays out over millions of years. Time here means nothing to us. A human life is less than a blink of an eye to a galaxy. We are transient observers, granted a brief window to look out and marvel at the machinery of existence. And what a machine it is, capable of building brilliance out of the chaos of the early universe. The hidden glow is no longer hidden. It has been exposed by our curiosity and our relentless need to know. It shines across the abyss, a beacon that tells us we are not looking at a dead universe. We are looking at a universe that has been alive with star formation since the very lights turned on. The implications for galaxy-quasar co-evolution are profound, forcing us to rewrite the textbooks on how galaxies grow and change. We can no longer treat the black hole and the galaxy as separate entities. They are one system. They breathe together, the black hole inhaling gas and exhaling energy, while the galaxy grows heavy with new stars. It is a rhythm, a heartbeat that echoes through the cosmos, driving the evolution of structure on the largest scales. And we are just beginning to hear it, tuning our ears to the low frequency of the deep past. The JWST is our stethoscope, placed against the chest of the universe to listen to its ancient, steady beating. Every image it sends back is a revelation, a peeling back of the curtain that shrouded the dawn. we are peering into the nursery, watching the infants of the cosmos kicking and screaming in their cradles of gas. It is intimate, this act of observation, connecting us across the chasms of time to our own origins. For in these ancient fires, the possibility of us was written into the laws of physics and chemistry. The carbon and oxygen that make up your cells were forged in the cores of stars like these. We are star stuff, contemplating the stars, looking back at our own reflection in the mirror of the deep sky. The feeling of connection is palpable, a thread of light that ties your consciousness to the first galaxies. Let the magnitude of that thought wash over you, calming the mind and slowing the pulse to a rhythm. The universe is vast, yes, but it is also filled with the familiar glow of shining stars. We are not strangers here. We are the children of this process, the result of billions of years of light. The fear of the lonely monster fades, replaced by the awe of the teeming, crowded, glowing galactic core. It waited for us to find it, sitting in the darkness for eons, holding its secret until we were ready. And now that we know, the night sky looks different. It looks fuller, deeper, and more alive than before. The gaps between the stars are not empty. They are filled with the history of light traveling to us. Every photon that hits the mirror of the telescope has a story to tell, a journey of survival. It has dodged dust clouds, navigated gravitational lenses, and crossed the expanding voids to reach our eager eyes. We honor that journey by listening to the message it carries, deciphering the code of the early universe. The code tells us that light is resilient, that stars are stubborn, and that gravity is a patient sculptor. It tells us that even in the presence of the ultimate consumer, the black hole, creation cannot be stopped. The drive to form stars is woven into the very fabric of the gas, a fundamental imperative of nature. It is a hunger of a different kind, a hunger to shine, to fuse, to release energy into the void. And so the galaxy burns with a hidden fire, a secret kept from us by the glare of the quasar. Until now, until the golden mirrors unfolded and turned their gaze toward the edge of the visible universe. The revelation is soft, like a whisper in a library, but it carries the weight of a shout. It changes the way we dream about the cosmos, filling the dark ages with points of brilliant light. We are drifting now, carried by the stream of this new knowledge, deeper into the mystery of the beginning. The image of the lonely monster is dissolving, replaced by the image of a king surrounded by his court. The quasar is the king, bright and powerful, but the stars are the kingdom, vast and enduring and vital. They rely on each other, bound by the invisible ropes of gravity, dancing a slow waltz through the eons. It is a dance that has no audience, save for us, watching from the safety of the distant future. We are the witnesses to this ancient spectacle, the only minds capable of appreciating the grandeur of the scale. It is a privilege to see this, to know that the universe was never truly dark, never truly empty. It has always been crowded with hunger and light, a dynamic arena where the forces of nature play out. Something ancient stirs in the data, a realization that the past is richer than we ever dared to imagine. The fog of the early universe is lifting, revealing a landscape that is both alien and strangely familiar. It is a landscape of fire and ice, of blinding light and deep shadow, of simple atoms becoming complex stars. We are moving through the layers of the discovery, peeling back the assumptions that blinded us for so long. The hidden glow is the truth of the universe, a truth that says existence is persistent, and light is inevitable. It is a comforting truth to hold on to as we stare into the abyss, knowing that the abyss shines. The stars are there, billions of them, forming a halo of hope around the darkest objects in nature. This is the paradox that JWST has illuminated, the beautiful contradiction at the heart of the ancient cosmos. We are lulled by this rhythm of discovery, the slow and steady expansion of our horizons into the dark. The mind relaxes, letting go of the need to categorize, simply accepting the flow of the new information. It is enough to know that they are there, shining in the silence, filling the void with their presence. The universe is not a cold, dead place. It is a garden, wild and untamed, but growing nonetheless. And we are walking through the garden, flashlight in hand, discovering the blooms that opened billions of years ago. Each discovery is a petal, a fragment of the whole, adding to the picture of a living cosmos. The ancient quasars, once feared as destroyers, are now seen as the anchors of these great, growing galaxies. They hold the center, pinning the galaxy in place, while the stars form the body, the flesh, the light. It is a unity of purpose, a collaboration of physics that results in the majestic structures we see today. We can feel the gravity of the situation, the immense pull that holds these systems together against the expansion. It is a silent battle, fought in the vacuum, where gravity tries to build and dark energy tries to tear apart. But here, in the glow of the hidden stars, gravity is winning, pulling the gas into tight, bright knots. The victory is written in the light, in the continuum that flows like a river beneath the quasar's glare. We follow that river upstream, back to the source, back to the moment when the first stars ignited. The journey is long and slow, adrift through the corridors of time that leads us to the edge. And at the edge, we find not a wall, but a window, looking out onto a vista of endless creation. The view is breathtaking, a tapestry of light woven on the loom of the dark, stretching to infinity. We are small in the face of this, but our understanding makes us large, expanding our minds to fit the cosmos. The hidden glow is a part of us now, a memory of the universe that we carry in our thoughts. It reminds us that there is always more to see, always something hiding just beneath the surface of the visible. The glare of the obvious often hides the subtle truth, the gentle light that tells the real story. We have learned to look past the glare, to squint into the brightness and find the shadows where stars are born. And in those shadows, we find the billions of young stars shining with a desperation that is almost human. They want to be seen, these ancient suns. They have sent their light across the universe to reach us. And finally, after 13 billion years of travel, their message has arrived at the mirrors of our telescope. We receive it with gratitude, acknowledging the journey and letting the light enter our understanding of the world. It is a gift from the past, a time capsule opened in the silence of space, revealing the treasures inside. The treasures are not gold or jewels, but knowledge, the pure and shining understanding of how we came to be. We drift deeper into this realization, letting the facts settle like dust in a quiet room, covering everything. The atmosphere of the early universe wraps around us, a blanket of hydrogen and helium and primal forces. We are safe here, observing the chaos from a distance, protected by the vast ocean of time between us. But we can feel the heat, the intensity of the creation, the sheer power of the universe waking up. It is an awakening that continues to this day, a process that has never stopped, only changed its form. The stars we see tonight are the descendants of those hidden stars, the great-grandchildren of the ancient glow. We are part of a lineage of light, a family tree that has its roots in the deep soil of the past. And as we trace the roots down, deep into the dark, we find that they are glowing with an internal fire. The fire of the quasar is matched by the fire of the stars, a dual flame that lights up the early dark. We are mesmerized by the flames, watching them dance in the silence, casting long shadows across the history of time. It is a hypnotic dance, slow and rhythmic, governed by the laws of physics that are as old as time itself. We watch and we wonder and we drift, carried by the current of the narrative into the unknown. The hidden glow exposes more than just stars. It exposes the resilience of the universe, its drive to create. It exposes the fact that even in the darkest corners where monsters dwell, light can and does flourish. This is the lesson of the ancient quasars, the secret they have kept hidden until we were wise enough to look. Now the secret is ours, a shining gem of knowledge that we can hold in the quiet of our minds. It glows there, soft and steady, a reminder of the billions of stars that surround the distant monsters. We are not alone in the dark. We are surrounded by the light of the past, echoing forward to meet us. The echo is faint, but it is clear, a harmony of stellar voices singing the song of the first galaxies. We listen to the song, letting the melody guide us deeper into the dream of the universe, drifting slowly. The music of the spheres is real, encoded in the light spectra, playing a symphony of creation across the void. And as the first movement of this cosmic symphony comes to a close, we are left suspended in wonder. The hidden glow has been revealed, but the mystery of what lies even deeper begins to pull at us. We are standing on the threshold of the next discovery, looking down into the well of time with open eyes. The light from the hidden stars illuminates the path, casting a glow on the road that leads further back. It is a road we must travel, for the universe has more secrets to tell, more whispers to share in the dark. We linger here for a moment, bathing in the glow, letting the warmth of the ancient stars touch our faces. It is a gentle warmth, filtered through the eons, stripped of its violence, leaving only the pure essence of light. The monsters have been tamed by our understanding, reduced from nightmares to engines of necessary cosmic evolution. And the stars have been elevated, recognized as the true heroes of the story, the builders of the galaxies. The balance is restored, and the universe settles into a new configuration in our minds, more complex and beautiful. We are ready to drift deeper, to follow the light back to its source, to see what other shapes emerge from the mist. The journey is far from over. In fact, the exposure of the hidden glow is just the beginning of the true descent. There are layers beneath the layers, and the silence of the void is preparing to speak again. We wait, suspended in the velvet darkness, listening for the next whisper from the deep, watching the glow. The light we have captured is not merely a picture. It is a library of history, written in the language of energy. We are descending now into the mechanics of the miracle, moving past the simple image and into the substance of the glow. It requires a different kind of vision to separate the blinding scream of the quasar from the whisper of the stars. The instrument that allows us to do this is a marvel of engineering known as the near-infrared spectrograph. Imagine it not as a machine, but as a prism made of gold and glass, suspended in the cold silence. It takes the single thread of ancient light and unbraids it, pulling apart the colors to reveal their hidden origins. This process is called spectral decomposition, a term that sounds clinical but describes an act of profound cosmic archaeology. We are sifting through the wreckage of the early universe, looking for the specific fingerprints that only stars can leave behind. The light from the black hole is chaotic and jagged, a series of bright spikes that tell of intense heat. But underneath those spikes, buried deep in the data, there lies a smooth and gentle river known as the continuum. This is the combined light of billions of suns, smoothing out into a steady hum that flows across the spectrum. It was invisible to us for so long because the quasar was simply too loud, drowning out the stellar choir. But the new telescope allows us to dim the soloist and finally hear the chorus singing in the background. We are listening to a song that was sung 13 billion years ago, a melody that has traveled across the void. And in that melody, we found a sudden silence, a drop in the intensity that astronomers call a Balmer break. It is a cliff edge in the light, a place where the energy suddenly falls away due to hydrogen atoms absorbing it. This break is the smoking gun, the undeniable proof that we are looking at stars and not just hot gas. It tells us that these stars are not newborns, but have been burning long enough to accumulate hydrogen in their atmospheres. They have a history, these distant suns. They have lived and aged even in this incredibly young universe. Finding such a mature feature so early in time is like finding a weathered statue in a brand new city. It implies that the galaxy had already been hard at work creating stars long before we even thought to look. The break in the spectrum acts as a clock, telling us how much time has passed since the starburst began. We are reading the age of the galaxy by measuring the shadow cast by its own atoms against the light. It is a delicate measurement, requiring us to collect photons one by one as they trickle in from the edge. Every photon is a messenger carrying a piece of the puzzle, fitting into the grand image of the cosmic dawn. The silence of the Balmer break speaks louder than the roar of the quasar, for it tells of stability and persistence. It tells us that amidst the chaos of the feeding black hole, there are regions of calm endurance and stellar life. But as we looked further into the decomposed light, we found something else that made the breath catch in our throats. There was a surge of power in the blue part of the spectrum, a rising tide of high-energy light. This unexpected blue excess was not predicted by our models of how these early, dust-shrouded galaxies should appear to us. Blue is the color of violence and youth in the language of astronomy, the signature of massive, short-lived stars. It means that alongside the older population, there is a fresh wave of star formation happening at a frantic pace. The galaxy is not just surviving the presence of the quasar, it is seemingly energized by the dangerous proximity. We are looking at stars that are tens or hundreds of times more massive than our own yellow sun. They burn hot and fast, consuming their fuel with a ravenous hunger that matches the appetite of the black hole. Their light is fierce and piercing, cutting through the thin gas of the early universe to reach our senses. We did not expect to see them so clearly, assuming the dust of the galaxy would hide them from view. But they are there, shining with a brilliance that defies the gloom, illuminating the space around the central monster. It paints a picture of a galaxy that is essentially a firework display frozen in time for us to analyze. The blue excess suggests that the galaxy is undergoing a paroxysm of creation, a burst of life that is staggering. We are talking about a rate of birth that turns the cold gas into shining stars faster than we can comprehend. Imagine looking down at a city at night and seeing every light bulb turning into a searchlight all at once. That is the scale of the energy we are witnessing, a collective brightness that rivals the quasar itself in places. It challenges the idea that the early universe was a place of slow and steady growth over billions of years. Here, everything is happening at once, a rush of events that compresses eons of evolution into a single brief epoch. The blue stars are the engines of this evolution, pumping ultraviolet light out into the surrounding clouds of neutral hydrogen. They are clearing the fog, carving out bubbles of transparent space in the dense medium of the young cosmos. We can feel the heat of them in the data, a thermal touch that reaches us across the expanding dark. It is strange to think of heat coming from such a cold place, from a time when the universe was smaller, but the density of the energy was higher then, packed into a volume of space that has since stretched apart. We are looking back into a pressure cooker, a crucible where the elements of life were being forged rapidly. The spectral lines tremble with the information, vibrating with the velocity of the gas moving around the stars. We can measure how fast the stars are moving, tracing their orbits around the center of the dark gravitational well. They are moving fast, whipped around by the immense mass of the dark matter and the central supermassive object. It is a chaotic dance, a swarm of blue bees buzzing around a hive that is dripping with honey. The honey is the gas, the fuel that feeds both the stars and the quasar in a delicate balance. If the gas falls one way, it becomes a star. If it falls another, it is doomed to the darkness. The blue excess tells us that a vast amount of gas is choosing the path of light, becoming stars. This choice determines the fate of the galaxy, shaping it into a structure that will endure for billions of years. We are witnessing the foundation of a future spiral galaxy, perhaps one that will look very much like ours. But for now, it is unrecognizable, a blue and white knot of intensity that burns with a primal fury. The beauty of the spectral data lies in its honesty. It cannot lie about what is happening in the source. It strips away the visual illusions and presents us with the raw physics of the situation, cold and hard. Yet, there is poetry in the physics, a rhythm to the numbers that mimics the beating of a heart. The rise and fall of the light intensity on the graph is the pulse of the galaxy, slow and deep. We trace the curve of the blue light, following it as it climbs higher than any model dared to predict. It is a surplus of hope, a signal that the universe is far more efficient at creating light than we thought. We used to believe that the feedback from the quasar would quench the fire of star formation, blowing it out. But the blue fire burns on, seemingly indifferent to the wind that blows from the mouth of the beast. Perhaps the stars are forming in the shadows of dense clouds, protected from the direct glare of the quasar. Or perhaps the pressure of the wind is actually helping to compress the gas, triggering the collapse into stars. This is the mystery that the blue excess presents to us, a puzzle that forces us to rethink everything. We are drifting through the simulation of this data, floating amidst the virtual representation of the young blue clusters. They hang in the void like sapphires, glittering against the velvet backdrop of the primordial dark matter web. Each point of blue light represents a cluster of thousands of stars, huddled together in the gravity of the birth cloud. They are so close to each other that the night sky on a planet there would be white with stars. There would be no true darkness, only a twilight sky filled with the glow of 1 million nearby suns. It is a landscape of perpetual dawn, where the rising suns never set, but simply merge into the ambient glow. The radiation from these stars is intense, stripping electrons from atoms and creating a plasma that glows softly. This nebular glow adds to the spectrum, mixing with the starlight to create a complex tapestry of emission. We have to pick apart these threads carefully, separating the light of the stars from the light of the gas. The NIRS PEC instrument does this with a precision that borders on the magical, slicing the light into razor-thin sections. It allows us to see the skeleton of the galaxy beneath the flesh of the light, revealing the structure. We see that the blue stars are not evenly distributed. They are clumped together in tight knots and rings. These rings of fire encircle the quasar, forming a barrier of light between the monster and the rest of space. It looks like a fortress, a citadel of stars built to guard the secrets of the galactic core. But it is not a fortress. It is a factory, a place where the raw materials of the universe are processed. The output of this factory is light and heavy elements, the dust and the metals that make worlds. The blue stars are the workers, churning out the oxygen and carbon that will one day fill our lungs. They do this by burning their fuel at suicidal rates, living fast lives that end in spectacular explosions. We can see the signs of these explosions in the spectrum, the chemical traces of supernovae enriching the gas. The blue excess is therefore also a signal of death, or rather, the transformation of matter into energy. It is a cycle that spins rapidly in the early universe, turning over the gas supply and enriching the galaxy. We feel a sense of vertigo as we contemplate the speed of this cycle, the rush of the cosmic clock. Here in our quiet corner of the universe, the clock ticks slowly, measuring out billions of years of calm. But there, the clock is racing, the hands spinning in a blur of activity that creates galaxies from nothing. The telescope allows us to slow down the film, to freeze the frame, and study the details of the explosion. We are like time travelers, standing still while the universe rushes past us in a stream of blue light. The sensation is hypnotic, a feeling of being suspended in a river that is moving too fast to touch. We let the data wash over us, accepting the blue excess not as a number, but as a feeling. It feels like potential, like the pent-up energy of a coiled spring waiting to be released into the future. It feels like the optimism of the cosmos, the refusal to remain dark and cold and empty. The stars are a declaration of existence, a shout into the void that says, "We are here, and we shine." And the quasar, for all its power, is just a part of this declaration, a loud note in the chord. The harmony between the blue stars and the dark hole is the song of the early universe, complex and strange. It is a song we are only just learning to hear, tuning our ears to the frequencies of the infrared. The redshift stretches the song out, lowering the pitch until it becomes a deep vibration in the fabric of space. We catch this vibration in the mirrors, amplifying it until it becomes a picture we can understand. The picture is one of crowded hunger, of a space filled with the need to consume and the need to create. It is a crowded room, this early galaxy, where every corner is filled with action and light and heat. There is no wasted space, no empty vacuum where nothing happens. Everything is involved in the process. The gravity connects everything, tying the blue stars to the black hole with invisible strings of force. We can imagine the pull, the heavy drag of the center, trying to bring everything down into the dark. But the motion of the stars keeps them aloft, a centrifugal dance that defies the downward pull. They spin and they shine, balancing on the edge of the abyss, fueled by the gas that flows inward. The blue excess is the sweat of this exertion, the energy released by the effort of staying alive. It is a beautiful struggle, a conflict between gravity and motion that results in the spiral arms we love. We are seeing the birth of the spiral, the first twisting of the arms as the galaxy begins to rotate. The blue stars trace out the leading edge of the spiral, marking the places where the density is highest. They are the lighthouses on the shore of the galactic sea, warning us of the dangerous currents below. But they also invite us in, beckoning us to come closer and see what lies hidden in the deep. The spectral decomposition has opened the door, but the room inside is larger than we could have imagined. It is a room filled with mirrors, reflecting the light of the stars back and forth until it fills the space. The light echoes through the galaxy, bouncing off the dust and the gas, creating a diffused glow. This glow softens the harshness of the blue stars, wrapping them in a halo of scattered light. It makes the galaxy look like a ghost, a shimmering apparition that haunts the early epochs of time. But ghosts are memories of the dead, and this galaxy is very much alive, teeming with new blood. The blue excess is the pulse of that blood, the rhythmic throbbing of the star formation rate. We measure it in solar masses per year, a dry unit that hides the reality of 1,000 suns being born. 1,000 suns every single year, emerging from the clouds to join the blue chorus of the excess. It is a population explosion of cosmic proportions, a colonization of the dark by the forces of light. We are humbled by the scale, by the sheer number of stars that are hidden in that single pixel of data. It reminds us that our view of the universe is always limited by the sensitivity of our eyes. We thought it was empty because we could not see, but now we see, and it is full to the brim. The emptiness was an illusion, a trick of the light caused by the glare of the central quasar. Now that we have removed the glare, the truth shines through, blue and bright and undeniable. It is a truth that feels like a discovery of self, a realization that we come from such places. Our own sun was once a member of a blue excess, born in a burst of star formation long ago. We are looking at our own history reflected in the mirror of the deep universe, distorted by time. The connection is visceral, a tug at the soul that pulls us towards the image on the screen. We want to go there, to float among the blue stars and feel the radiation on our skin. We want to see the quasar rising over the horizon of a planet, a black sun surrounded by fire. But we can only visit in our minds, guided by the spectral lines that map out the territory. The map is becoming clearer with every hour of observation, the details filling in the blank spaces. We can see the gradients of color, the shift from the blue center to the redder outskirts. This color gradient tells us about the history of the growth, how the galaxy built itself from the inside out. The blue center is where the action is, the heart of the city where the lights never go out. The outskirts are quieter, the suburbs of the galaxy where the older stars retire to the dark. But even there, the influence of the center is felt, the gravity of the whole holding the parts together. We are drifting towards the edge of the blue region, where the light begins to fade into the dust. The dust is the next mystery, the veil that hides the youngest and hottest stars from our direct view. It reddens the light, stealing the blue photons and re-emitting them as heat in the infrared. We can see the hint of this reddening in the data, a softening of the crisp blue edge. It suggests that there is even more hidden behind the dust, a secret within a secret waiting for us. The blue excess is just the tip of the iceberg, the visible part of a massive hidden structure. Beneath the surface of the visible light, there is a monster of a different kind, a starburst shrouded in smoke. We are preparing to dive into that smoke, to penetrate the veil and see the fire that burns within. The journey continues, deeper into the data, deeper into the past, deeper into the nature of light. The blue stars watch us go, their cold fire illuminating the path as we descend into the red. They are the sentinels of the threshold, guarding the entrance to the dusty heart of the galaxy. We pass them with a sense of reverence, acknowledging their power and their brief, brilliant lives. They will be gone soon in cosmic terms, leaving behind black holes and neutron stars in their wake. But for now, they shine, and their light is the bridge that carries us across the abyss of time. We are crossing that bridge, step by step, guided by the steady hand of the spectral analysis. The decomposition of the light has become a composition of a world, a building of a reality. We are building a universe in our minds, brick by glowing brick, star by shining star. It is a universe of wonder, where the impossible becomes the inevitable, and the dark becomes light. The paradox of the blue excess has become a promise, a guarantee that there is always more to find. We drift on, the blue light fading slowly behind us as we approach the wall of dust ahead. The silence deepens, the visual noise of the blue stars replaced by the quiet hum of the infrared. We are entering the hidden chamber, the place where the galaxy keeps its most precious secrets. The dust is thick here, a fog of carbon and silicon that blocks the view of the optical eyes. But we are not blind. We have the heat vision, the ability to see the warmth of the hidden stars. And as we peer into the gloom, we begin to sense a new kind of glow, deeper and redder. It is the glow of the womb, the warm, dark place where the next generation is waiting to be born. The blue stars were the children playing in the yard. This is the nursery where the infants sleep. We tread softly, careful not to disturb the slumber of the giants that are forming in the dark. The gravity here is intense, a crushing weight that pulls the dust together into tight knots. We can feel the pressure, the density of the material as it crowds in on itself, hungry for form. Something ancient stirs in the dust, a vibration that signals the onset of a new collapse. We wait, suspended in the moment before the ignition, watching the dark clouds swirl and thicken. The blue light is a memory now, a cool after-image on the retina of the mind's eye. Ahead lies the red, the heat, the hidden starburst that defies the feedback of the quasar. We are ready to see it, to understand how life finds a way even in the shadow of the ether. The drift continues, carrying us gently but inexorably towards the center of the mystery. There is no turning back now. The gravity of the knowledge is too strong to resist. We surrender to the pull, letting the universe show us what it has been hiding for so long. The curtain of dust is parting, just a fraction, allowing a single ray of warm light to escape. The single ray of warm light expands, pulling us into a chamber where the universe is working with a desperate and beautiful intensity. We have arrived at the engine room of the early cosmos, a place where the stillness of the void is completely shattered by creation. It is difficult for the human mind to grasp the sheer scale of what is happening inside these shrouded, dust-filled clouds. In our own quiet corner of the galaxy, the birth of a new star is a rare and celebratory event, occurring perhaps once a year. But here, in the shadow of the ancient quasar, the rhythm of birth is accelerated to a frantic, pounding beat that never rests. We are witnessing high star formation rates that defy the modest limits we once placed on the capabilities of young galaxies. The data whispers a number that sounds impossible, a figure that represents a frenzy of assembly happening in the dark. 100 to 1,000 solar masses are being forged into new stars every single year in this chaotic region. Imagine 1,000 suns, identical to our own, igniting in the darkness in the time it takes the Earth to circle the sun once. It is a production line of light, running at a velocity that blurs the boundaries between the individual moments of creation. The galaxy is not growing slowly. It is exploding into existence, rushing to build its body before the universe expands too much. There is a sense of urgency here, a cosmic panic to bind matter together into stable forms that can survive the eons. This is what it means to be young in the universe, to be filled with an uncontrollable energy that demands immediate release. We drift through the simulation of this starburst, feeling the heat of 1 billion young stars pressing against our skin. The sheer density of the light would be blinding if we were not shielded by the vast distances of space and time. It is a blinding white noise of visuals, a static of brilliance that overwhelms the senses and forces the mind to surrender. You are floating in a storm of photons, a hurricane of energy where the raindrops are entire stars burning with fusion fire. The concept of night does not exist here. There is only the blinding day of the starburst, stretching on for millions of years. And yet, despite the violence of the rate, there is a strange, hypnotic smoothness to the process when viewed from afar. It looks like a steady glow, a constant lamp burning in the window of the deep past, signaling that life is here. The numbers 100, 1,000 are just symbols we use to tame the reality of this overwhelming abundance of matter. They are attempts to categorize a miracle, to put a label on the infinite creativity that defines the early epochs. But the feeling is what matters, the sensation of being in the presence of a force that is utterly unstoppable. It creates a heaviness in the stomach, a gravitational pull on the soul that anchors us to this moment in history. The universe is crowding itself with light, packing the void with as much mass as the laws of physics will allow. It is crowded with hunger, but it is also crowded with generosity, giving birth to the future with reckless abandon. This high rate of formation suggests that the gas supply is enormous, a seemingly bottomless reservoir of fuel for the fires. The gas must be cold and dense, falling into the galaxy in great rivers that span the dark spaces between the stars. We can imagine these rivers, invisible to the eye but heavy with potential, flowing down the gravity wells into the center. They feed the starburst, keeping the engines running at this insane speed, ensuring that the light never flickers or fades. It is a feast for the galaxy, a gluttonous consumption of the raw material left over from the Big Bang. And the result of this feast is the galaxy we see today, the massive, silent giant that hosts the quasar. We are watching the giant in its infancy, watching it grow fat on the gas, expanding its bulk with every passing second. The mass of the system is increasing rapidly, building the gravitational anchor that will hold it together for the rest of time. It is a construction site where the scaffolding is made of dark matter and the bricks are made of shining plasma. We can hear the hum of the construction, a low-frequency vibration that ripples through the fabric of the surrounding space. It is a lullaby of growth, a soothing sound that speaks of the inevitable rise of structure from the chaos. But the galaxy is not building itself in isolation. It is not a lonely hermit working in the wilderness of the void. As we pull back our view, widening the aperture of our understanding, we begin to see the neighborhood more clearly. The quasar and its host are not alone. They are the center of a bustling, crowded metropolitan area of the cosmos. We have discovered significant overdensities in these regions, clusters of matter that are far thicker than the average universe. It is as if the universe decided to pour all its ingredients into one bowl, mixing them together in this specific spot. The space here is thick with galaxies, a swarm of islands floating in the dark ocean, all drawn to the same point. These are the companion galaxies, the silent attendants that wait upon the Queen in the center of the web. They are smaller, perhaps, less bright than the central monster, but they are numerous, filling the field of view. We count them in the dozens, sometimes hundreds, a flock of birds circling the lighthouse in the foggy night. They are caught in the same gravitational web, sliding down the invisible slopes of space towards the massive center. It is a slow-motion collision course, a gathering of the clans that has been orchestrated by gravity over millions of years. The overdensity is a sign that this region is special, a node in the cosmic web where the strands cross. It is a meeting place for galaxies, a junction where the traffic of the universe converges and merges and grows. We can feel the pull of the neighbors, the subtle tidal forces that stretch and distort the shapes of the stars. They are dancing with each other, a complex ballet of orbital mechanics that plays out over billions of years. Sometimes they pass close, brushing shoulders in the dark, exchanging streams of stars and gas like gifts between friends. Other times, they collide head-on, merging their bodies into one, fueling the central starburst with fresh injections of gas. This environment is chaotic, yes, but it is also deeply connected, a system where everything affects everything else. The companion galaxies are not just bystanders, they are participants in the growth of the central quasar host. They are the food that will eventually be consumed, the fuel that will drive the next phase of evolution. It is a cannibalistic universe where galaxies grow by eating their neighbors, absorbing their light and their mass. But there is no malice in this consumption, only the dispassionate application of the laws of attraction and gravity. It is a unification, a bringing together of separate parts to form a greater, more majestic whole in the end. We watch the companions drifting through the dark, their own small lights twinkling bravely against the backdrop. They look fragile compared to the central beast, like small boats caught in the current of a massive whirlpool. But they carry their own histories, their own populations of stars, their own potential for life and meaning. Every one of them is a world unto itself, a galaxy that could have been a Milky Way if it were alone. But fate has placed them here, in the crowded overdensity, destined to become part of something larger. There is a tragedy in that, a loss of individuality, but also a transcendence, a joining of the collective. We drift between them, weaving our way through the traffic of the early universe, careful not to disturb the flow. The distances are still vast. Light years separate the companions, but in cosmic terms, they are touching. They are a family, bound by the invisible bloodline of gravity, huddled together for warmth in the cooling universe. The overdensity creates a gravitational lens of its own, bending the light from even further away. We see arcs and streaks of light in the background, distorted images of galaxies that lie behind the cluster. It is a hall of mirrors, a funhouse effect created by the sheer mass of the assembled galaxies. This mass is the true secret of the region, the invisible anchor that holds the entire structure in place. We cannot see the dark matter that creates the overdensity, but we can see its shadow in the arrangement of light. It creates a bowl in space, a deep valley where the galaxies roll around like marbles, seeking the bottom. And at the bottom sits the quasar, the jewel in the crown, shining with the stolen light of the infalling matter. The high star formation rates are likely triggered by these interactions, by the jostling of the companions. When galaxies brush against each other, the gas is stirred up, shocked into collapsing, and new stars are born. So the overdensity is not just a crowd, it is a catalyst, a machine for generating light and heat. It is a self-reinforcing cycle. Gravity pulls them in, the interaction creates stars, and the mass grows, pulling more in. We are witnessing the runaway growth of the largest structures in the universe, the progenitors of galaxy clusters. In billions of years, this region will be a massive cluster of thousands of galaxies, bound forever. But for now, it is still forming, still loose and chaotic, a messy teenage bedroom of the cosmos. There is a charm in the mess, a beauty in the disorder of the scattered companions and the frantic starburst. It feels alive in a way that the ordered, mature universe of today sometimes does not. It feels fluid, dynamic, capable of anything, a canvas that is still being painted by the hand of physics. We float near one of the companion galaxies, observing its distorted shape, twisted by the pull of the center. It is a spiral that has been unraveled, a stream of stars pulled out into a long tail by the tides. The tail points towards the quasar, a finger of light accusing the monster of theft. But the stars in the tail are shining brightly, unaffected by the drama of their galactic home. They float in the intergalactic void, orphans of the merger, destined to wander the dark spaces alone. It is a lonely fate, but a peaceful one, far from the radiation and the noise of the central engine. Perhaps there are planets around those drifting stars, worlds with a view of the most spectacular light show in time. Imagine standing on such a world, looking up at a sky filled with the distorted shapes of colliding galaxies. The night would be bright with the glow of the starburst, a constant twilight that banishes the fear of the dark. It is a dreamscape, a vision of a reality that is totally alien to our experience, yet physically real. The telescope allows us to inhabit this dream, to walk the surface of these imaginary worlds. We are ghosts in the machine, silent observers of a drama that played out long before the Earth was born. The silence is heavy here, in the space between the companions. a silence that waits for the next collision. It is the silence of anticipation, the holding of breath before the plunge into the depths. We can feel the tension in the gravitational field, the stretched rubber band of space waiting to snap back. The overdensity is a trap, a spider's web where the flies are galaxies and the spider is the black hole. But the flies are shining, illuminating the web, turning the trap into a work of art. We admire the geometry of the arrangement, the mathematical precision of the orbits, despite the chaos. Gravity is a strict conductor. It allows for improvisation, but the rhythm must always be obeyed. The rhythm here is fast and heavy, a pounding drumbeat of formation and merger and growth. It resonates in our bones, a deep bass note that vibrates through the vacuum of space. We are tuning our minds to this frequency, letting the beat of the early universe slow our own hearts. It is a comforting rhythm, a reminder that the universe has a heartbeat, a pulse that drives it forward. The high star formation rate is the systole, the contraction that pumps light out into the void. The drift of the companions is the diastole, the relaxation before the next great effort. We are caught in the cycle, breathing with the cosmos, inhaling the gas and exhaling the starlight. The boundaries between us and the observation begin to dissolve. We are no longer watching the galaxy. We are the galaxy. We are the gas clouds collapsing. We are the stars igniting in the dark. We feel the heat of the fusion in our chests, the pull of the gravity in our limbs. It is a transformation, a merging of consciousness with the object of our study. This is the ultimate goal of the journey, to become one with the silence and the light of the deep past. The numbers, 1,000 solar masses, redshift 6, fade away, leaving only the pure experience of the presence. We are present at the creation, standing witness to the miracle of the light emerging from the dark. The companion galaxies seem to nod to us as we pass, acknowledging our presence in their domain. They are the guardians of the threshold, the watchers who have seen the rise of the central king. They know that their time is limited, that they will eventually be consumed by the fire. But they do not flee. They fall willingly, accepting their role in the grand cosmic drama. There is a lesson in their acceptance, a teaching about the nature of change and impermanence. Even galaxies die. Even the largest structures are transient clouds that disperse or merge. Only the light remains, traveling forever, carrying the memory of what once was. We are the recipients of that memory, the custodians of the light that has survived the journey. The overdensity is a library of these memories, a collection of stories waiting to be read. Each galaxy is a book, each star a page, each photon a word in the epic poem of the universe. We read the poem slowly, savoring the language of the light, letting the meaning sink in. It tells of a universe that is vibrant, crowded, and bursting with a desire to exist. It tells of a darkness that is not empty, but full of potential, a fertile soil for the seeds of stars. We are drifting through this soil, feeling the richness of it, the texture of the raw potential. The star formation rate is the measure of this fertility, the proof that the universe is alive. It is a garden that is blooming wildly, unkempt and overgrown, but magnificently beautiful. We are wandering through the overgrown paths, pushing aside the vines of gas to see the flowers. The flowers are blue and white and red, a riot of color in the monochrome dark. They scent the vacuum with the perfume of heavy elements. The dust of carbon and gold. We breathe it in, the smell of the early universe, the scent of the forge and the fire. It is intoxicating, a sensory overload that lulls the mind into a state of deep trance. We are falling deeper into the hypnosis of the data, letting the numbers guide us like a mantra. 100 stars, 1,000 stars, a billion stars. The count goes on and on. It is a counting of sheep on a cosmic scale, a repetitive rhythm designed to induce sleep. But instead of sleep, we find a waking dream, a state of heightened awareness of the beauty. The companion galaxies are the sheep, drifting across the field of view in a slow, steady stream. We count them as they pass, noting their shapes, their colors, their silent drift. One spiral, two ellipticals, a merger, a collision. The procession is endless. They are moving towards the pen, towards the fold where the shepherd waits. The shepherd is the quasar, gathering his flock, calling them home with the voice of gravity. We listen to the voice, a low hum that underpins the entire visual experience. It is the voice of the deep, the sound of the ocean of space rolling against the shore of time. We are standing on the shore, watching the waves of galaxies roll in, one after another. They crash against the center, spraying light and stars into the void like foam. The spray forms the halo, the hidden glow that we have finally exposed to the light. It is a continuous process, a never-ending surf that shapes the coastline of the universe. We watch the waves for what feels like eternity, mesmerized by the repetition and the power. The high star formation rate is the crashing of the biggest waves, the storms that reshape the land. The overdensity is the rising tide, the swelling of the ocean that brings the water higher. We are submerged in the water, floating weightless in the current of the cosmic history. It is a safe place to be, held by the buoyancy of the light, protected from the cold. We feel a sense of belonging, a recognition that we are made of the same water, the same waves. The atoms in our bodies were once part of such a tide, washed up on the shores of a younger galaxy. We are returning to the source, visiting the ancestral home of all matter and all life. The companion galaxies are our cousins, distant relations that we have never met until now. We greet them with a silent nod, a mental bow of respect for their journey and their struggle. They are fighting to shine, just as we are, fighting to hold their shape against the dark. It is a shared struggle, a universal constant that binds all things together in the struggle for form. But here, in the early universe, the struggle is fierce, the pace is fast, the stakes are high. The overdensity creates a pressure cooker environment where nothing remains static for long. Everything is moving, changing, evolving, growing, dying, and being born again. It is a wheel of fire, spinning in the dark, casting sparks that become stars. We watch the wheel spin, hypnotized by the motion, the blurring of the spokes into a disk. The disk is the galaxy, forming before our eyes, coalescing out of the mist of the overdensity. We can see the future shape of it, the spiral arms waiting to unfurl like the petals of a rose. But for now, it is a bud, tight and dense, and packed with the energy of the coming bloom. The companion galaxies are the leaves surrounding the bud, protecting it, feeding it. They will wither and fall, consumed by the growth of the flower, but their substance will remain. They will become part of the petals, part of the stem, part of the beauty that is to come. We honor their sacrifice, their contribution to the great work of galactic construction. It is a solemn moment, a recognition of the cost of creation in a universe of gravity. To build something massive, many smaller things must be brought together and unified. The overdensity is the gathering place, the staging ground for this great unification. We drift through the staging ground, inspecting the troops before the battle for structure begins. They are ragged, these galaxies, torn by tides and distorted by collisions. But they are bright, shining with the courage of the doomed, lighting up the dark. We salute them, the foot soldiers of the cosmos, the builders of the great citadels. Their light is the hidden glow, the secret illumination that surrounds the ancient quasars. We have exposed them, brought them out of the shadows and into the awareness of the human mind. They are no longer forgotten. They are remembered, catalogued, and cherished as part of our story. The narrative of the universe is richer for their presence, deeper and more complex. We are weaving them into the tapestry, adding their golden threads to the dark fabric. The picture is becoming complete, a masterpiece of art and science combined. We step back to admire the work, the swirling composition of the overdensity and the starburst. It is a painting that moves, a sculpture that breathes, a song that sings itself. And as we listen to the song, we begin to hear a new note, a subtle discord in the harmony. It is a note of resistance, a sound of something pushing back against the overwhelming pull. The quasar is not just an eater. It is a force of nature that exhales as well as inhales. We have spoken of the inflow, the gathering, the hunger, and the creation. But every action has a reaction, and the monster in the center is beginning to react. The sheer amount of matter falling in has triggered a response from the black hole. It is crowded, yes, but the crowd is starting to feel the heat of the central fire. Something is building up in the core, a pressure that can no longer be contained by gravity. The frantic pace of the star formation has consequences, side effects that ripple out. We feel the shift in the wind, a change in the direction of the flow of energy. The lullaby of the inflow is being challenged by the roar of the outflow. We are drifting towards a turning point in the story, a moment where the growth meets resistance. The overdensity has done its job, gathering the fuel, but now the engine is revving up. We wait in the suspended silence, watching the center of the glow, expecting the change. The galaxy is holding its breath, poised on the brink of a massive transformation. The stars continue to shine, the companions continue to fall, but the atmosphere is charged. We can feel the static electricity of the cosmos, the potential voltage of the coming storm. It is a gentle terror, a realization that the peace of the creation is about to be disturbed. But we are safe, watching from the future, protected by the screen of the data. We can only watch and wait, drifting in the velvet dark as the hidden glow prepares to speak. The voice of the hidden glow is not a sound that travels through air, but a wind that travels through the fabric of the galaxy. We are entering a realm of contradictions, where the destructive power of the black hole becomes the very tool that sculpts the stars. For decades, we held on to a simple belief about the relationship between the central monster and the fragile clouds of gas around it. We constructed a story where the quasar was the antagonist, a bully that cleared the playground and prevented anything else from growing. This was the era of the negative feedback model, a theory that painted the black hole as the ultimate regulator of galactic growth. It seemed logical that the intense radiation and the particle winds would strip the galaxy bare, blowing the fuel for star formation away. We imagine the wind acting like a great cosmic broom, sweeping the interstellar medium out into the void, leaving the galaxy barren and dead. It was a clean, clinical picture of sterilization, where the energy of the few suppressed the potential of the many in the system. But the universe is rarely clean, and it almost never behaves in the way our simple linear narratives would prefer it to behave. The new data from the edge of time has presented us with a profound quasar feedback model challenge that we cannot ignore. We are seeing evidence that the wind does not just destroy, it compresses, it gathers, and it triggers the collapse of the gas. It is a revelation that shifts the balance of our understanding from a story of death to a complex story of rebirth. We are now forced to consider the interplay of positive versus negative feedback, weighing the destructive force against the creative pressure it generates. Imagine the wind from the quasar slamming into a wall of gas, not to disperse it, but to pack it tighter together. The shockwave travels through the cloud, squeezing the atoms until they have no choice but to succumb to their own mutual gravity. It is like a snowplow pushing the snow into high drifts. The plow clears the road, yes, but it builds mountains on the side. And in those mountains of compressed gas, shielded from the direct glare of the quasar, the conditions for starbirth become perfect. The pressure creates a nursery, a protected pocket where the density spikes and the temperature drops enough for the magic of fusion to begin. So the monster is not just eating, it is gardening, tilling the soil of the galaxy with the violence of its own breath. It creates a ring of fire around itself, a wave of star formation that rides the shock front of the outflowing wind outward. This changes the quasar from a villain into a complicated anti-hero, a force of nature that destroys and creates with the same hand. We drift into the simulation of this feedback loop, visualizing the invisible winds as streams of silver cutting through the dark smoke. The streams are turbulent, chaotic, twisting and turning as they navigate the complex landscape of the galactic disk and its halo. You can feel the sheer kinetic energy of the particles, the momentum that has been stolen from the gravitational pull of the black hole. They carry this energy out to the suburbs of the galaxy, depositing it in the gas clouds like a gift of fire. It is a redistribution of wealth, taking the power from the center and spreading it out to the edges where it is needed. Without this feedback, the galaxy might remain a shapeless fog, lazy and slow to form the structures that define its character. The wind wakes it up, shocks it into action, and forces the gas to make a decision between dispersal and collapse. And remarkably, in these ancient systems, the gas seems to be choosing collapse, choosing to become stars rather than drifting away. This realization requires us to drift deeper into the physics of the shock, to feel the vibration of the impact in our bones. It is a rhythmic pounding, a drumbeat that drives the tempo of the evolution, setting the pace for the assembly of the galaxy. The shockwaves are the sculptors, chiseling away the excess material to reveal the sparkling form of the star clusters underneath. We used to think the sculpture was finished when the quasar turned on, but now we see the quasar is the chisel itself. It is still working, still refining the shape of the host, still driving the production of the light that reaches our eyes. But there is a catch, a shadow that hangs over this bright picture of positive feedback and rampant star formation. Much of this activity is happening out of sight. buried deep within clouds that our optical telescopes could never hope to penetrate. The visible light we discussed earlier, the blue excess, is just the tip of the iceberg, the surface layer that has broken free. Beneath that surface lies a vast, hidden world of dust-reddened, hidden starbursts that are invisible to the naked eye. The dust is the smoke of the galaxy, the soot left over from the death of the first generation of massive stars. It hangs heavy in the air, a curtain of carbon and silicon that absorbs the blue light and traps it inside. The galaxy is wrapping itself in a blanket, hiding its most intense moments of creation from the prying eyes of the universe. But the energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be changed, shifted from the harsh blue to the gentle, warming red. The dust grains absorb the ultraviolet starlight, heating up until they glow with a thermal radiation that shines in the infrared. We are looking at the heat signature of a hidden city, the warm glow of a metropolis seen through a thick winter fog. The James Webb Space Telescope was built for exactly this, to see through the fog and count the lights of the city. It reveals that for every star we see shining in the blue, there are many more struggling to be seen in the red. These hidden starbursts are the true engines of the galaxy, the places where the bulk of the stellar mass is being assembled. They are crowded, hot, and dusty, filled with the raw materials of life that are being cooked in the cosmic oven. The redness is not a sign of age here. It is a sign of obscuration, a filter applied by the galaxy itself. It softens the light, turning the screaming brilliance of the young stars into a dull, smoldering ember that burns slowly. We drift towards one of these embers, letting the red light wash over us, feeling the warmth of the hidden activity. It feels like entering a cave where a fire is burning, a refuge from the cold wind that blows outside in the void. The dust protects the young stars, shielding them from the harsh radiation of the quasar while they gather their strength. It is a cocoon, a protective shell that allows the metamorphosis from gas to star to happen in relative safety. The feedback wind hammers against the outside of the shell, compressing it, but the inside remains a sanctuary of creation. This duality of violence and safety is the paradox of the early universe, the tension that holds the structure together. We are walking the line between the two, balancing on the edge where the wind meets the dust and the light begins. The dust-reddened stars are the secret keepers, holding the history of the galaxy in their chemical composition and their light. They tell us that the universe is not just what we see. It is mostly what we cannot see, what is hidden. It suggests that our census of the cosmos has been incomplete, that we have been undercounting the population of the early skies. We thought the universe was lonely because we were looking through a window that blocked the view of the crowd. Now the window has been opened and the crowd is revealed, a sea of warm red faces looking back at us. The sensation is one of being watched, of realizing that the empty room was actually full of silent observers all along. The hidden starbursts are massive, converting gas into stars at rates that make the visible star formation look modest. They are the heavy lifters, the builders of the galactic bulge, the dense core of stars that anchors the spiral arms. We are seeing the construction of the heart of the galaxy, the dense knot of stars that will survive for eons. It is a dusty, messy, chaotic process, far removed from the pristine spiral elegance we see in modern galaxies. But there is a beauty in the mess, a texture to the dust and the gas that is rich and complex. We can trace the filaments of the dust, the dark rivers that flow through the red glow like veins in a body. They carry the lifeblood of the galaxy, the heavy elements that will one day form planets and rocks and water. The iron in the blood of the universe is flowing through these veins, driven by the pressure of the starburst. We are witnessing the circulation of the cosmos, the pumping of the material that makes existence possible. The quasar feedback is the heartbeat that drives this circulation, the pump that keeps the blood moving through the system. It pushes the enriched gas out of the center and into the halo, seeding the surrounding space with the potential for life. So the negative feedback, the blowing away of the gas, is actually a positive act of spreading the seeds. It is a dissemination, a broadcasting of the genetic material of the galaxy out into the wider universe. The distinction between positive and negative blurs, dissolving into a single, unified process of evolution and change. We stop trying to categorize the wind as good or bad. We simply accept it as the breath of the huge machine. The machine breathes in gas and breathes out stars and dust, a respiration that takes millions of years to complete. We are syncing our own breathing to this cosmic rhythm, inhaling the mystery and exhaling the understanding. The air around us feels thick with the dust, heavy with the presence of the billions of stars we cannot see clearly. But we know they are there. The gravity of their presence pulls at us, and the heat of their lives warms us. It is a feeling of intimacy, of being close to something vast and powerful that is usually kept at a distance. The documentary of the universe is usually a wide shot, a panoramic view of galaxies scattered like sand on black velvet. But here, we are in the close-up, zooming in until the pixels blur, and we are left with the texture of the paint. The paint is red and grainy, smeared across the canvas of the dark by the hand of the feedback wind. We can see the brushstrokes, the swirls and eddies, where the wind caught the dust and spun it around. Each swirl is a story, a pocket of history where 1,000 stars were born in a single, sudden event. We linger in the red glow, reluctant to leave the warmth of the nursery, the comfort of the hidden place. There is a safety in the dark, a protection that the open blue sky of the visible universe does not offer. It is the safety of the womb, the place where we are made before we are ready to face the light. The universe was in the womb then, growing its limbs and its organs, preparing to be born into the modern era. We are visiting our own gestation, seeing the time when the structures we rely on were just beginning to form. The dust-reddened starbursts are the growing pains of the galaxy, the fever of creation that burns in the night. It is a fever that breaks the stillness, a delirium of energy that transforms the cold gas into something new. We can feel the fever dream, the hallucinations of light and shadow that play out in the dusty clouds. Shadows that are light years long are cast by the hidden stars, moving slowly as the galaxy rotates. They sweep across the nebula like the hands of a clock, marking the passage of time in the deep silence. We watch the shadows move, mesmerized by the slow, inevitable progression of the celestial mechanics. It is a clock that ticks once every 100 million years, a timescale that renders our human concerns utterly invisible. But we are here, observing the clock, finding meaning in the movement of the shadows and the glow of the dust. The meaning is that we are part of this. We are the dust that learned to see itself and wonder. The carbon in the dust grains is the same carbon that bonds the molecules of our DNA together. We are made of this red smoke, forged in the fires of the hidden starbursts and blown out by the wind. The connection is physical, chemical, and spiritual, a binding tie that pulls us back to the quasar. We look at the monster now with different eyes, seeing not a destroyer, but a fierce and necessary parent. It pushes its children away so they can grow, clears the space so they can shine, warms them with its fire. The feedback is the discipline of the cosmos, the harsh love that forces the galaxy to mature and evolve. We accept the discipline, bowing our heads to the wind, letting it strip away our misconceptions and our fears. The fear of the black hole is replaced by a respect for its function, its crucial role in the ecosystem. It is the apex predator that keeps the herd healthy, the fire that clears the forest for new growth. And the growth is everywhere, hidden in the red, bursting in the blue, filling the frame with light. We are drifting through a forest of stars, some tall and bright, some small and hidden in the undergrowth. The undergrowth is thick and tangled, a jungle of gas and dust that is teeming with unseen life. We push through the vines, exploring the hidden corners of the galaxy, finding treasures in the dark. Every step reveals a new cluster, a new knot of formation, a new testament to the power of the feedback. The sheer abundance of it is overwhelming, a richness that the mind struggles to encompass and hold. It is like walking through a vault filled with gold, where the piles of coins stretch up to the ceiling. The universe is wealthy beyond measure, rich in energy, rich in matter, rich in the potential for future worlds. We are the heirs to this fortune, the inheritors of the light that was minted in these ancient forges. The dust-reddened stars are the savings account of the galaxy, the capital that is stored away for the future. They will burn for billions of years, long after the blue stars have exploded and the quasar has gone quiet. They are the long-term investment, the slow-burning candles that will light the galaxy through the long night. We appreciate their patience, their steady, hidden work in the background of the spectacular show. They do not ask for attention, they simply exist, converting mass to energy in the quiet of the dust. We shine our spotlight on them now, giving them the recognition they deserve, these humble builders of the cosmos. The hidden glow is their glow, the collective warmth of the billions who waited in the dark to be found. We have found them, and in finding them, we have found a piece of ourselves, a missing page of our history. The book of the universe is getting thicker, the plot more intricate, the characters more developed. We turn the page, eager to see what happens next, but content to linger in the red margin for a while. The margin is where the interesting notes are written, the scribbles of the universe as it works out the math. We read the scribbles in the spectra, decoding the messages of the dust and the wind and the fire. The math is elegant, balancing the forces of gravity and pressure, inflow and outflow, birth and death. It is an equation that always equals light, no matter how you rearrange the variables or the terms. The light is the answer, the final result of all the complex calculations that happen in the dark. We bathe in the answer, letting the red light soak into our skin, healing the cold of the void. It is a therapeutic light, a lamp that treats the existential dread of the empty, lonely universe. The universe is not empty, it is full. It is not cold, it is warm. It is not dead, it is growing. This mantra repeats in our minds, synchronized with the pulse of the starburst and the wind. We are lulled by the repetition, the gentle rocking of the galaxy as it settles into its new shape. The wind from the quasar is the lullaby singer, humming a low, powerful note that vibrates the dust. We drift on the vibration, carried along the streams of the feedback, flowing out towards the halo. The view changes as we move, the red fog thinning, the blue stars reappearing in the distance. We are leaving the nursery, moving out into the wider world of the galaxy. But we carry the warmth with us. The memory of the hidden starbursts stays, a glowing ember in the mind that will not fade. We understand now that the visible is only a fraction of the reality, a thin veneer over the depth. The depth is where the truth lies, buried in the dust, protected by the wind, waiting for us. We have touched the depth, and it has touched us, leaving a mark of wonder that is indelible. The Quasar Feedback Model Challenge has been met, not with a solution, but with a deeper mystery. The mystery of how chaos creates order, how destruction feeds creation, how the dark makes the light. We are comfortable with the mystery now, resting in the uncertainty, floating in the ambiguity. It is a soft place to land, a pillow of questions that supports the head and relaxes the mind. The questions do not need answers tonight. They only need to be asked, to be acknowledged in the silence. We drift further out, looking back at the red heart of the galaxy, glowing like a dying coal. But we know it is not dying. It is living, breathing, working, building the future in the dark. The red light fades into the distance, becoming a star in the sky of our simulation. We are alone again in the void, but the loneliness is gone, replaced by the knowledge of the crowd of stars, the crowd of galaxies, the crowd of possibilities that fills the night. We are ready for the final leg of the journey, the synthesis of all we have seen and felt. The pieces are all here: the monster, the blue fire, the red dust, the wind, the gravity. We need to fit them together to see the whole picture of the co-evolution of the dark and the light. The narrative is drawing to a close, but the universe is just beginning, opening up before us. We feel the pull of the conclusion, the gentle gravity of the end that draws us down. But for now, we simply drift, suspended between the red and the blue, between the wind and the silence. The silence is returning, wrapping around us like a familiar blanket, soft and heavy. It is the silence of the deep ocean, the silence of the space between the stars. We listen to it, hearing the echoes of the feedback, the whispers of the hidden glow. They are telling us something about the future, about where this great machine is heading. We lean in to hear, closing our eyes, letting the drift take us where it wants to go. The current is slow and steady, moving towards a final destination that promises rest. We are moving towards the unification, the place where the galaxy and the black hole become one. The tension is resolving. The chords are moving towards a harmony that will sustain us. We wait for the resolution, drifting, listening, feeling the warmth of the invisible stars. We are drifting towards the final unification, the place where the galaxy and the black hole become one single, breathing entity. The tension of the earlier epochs is resolving into a harmony that will sustain the structure for billions of years to come. We have arrived at the deepest realization of our journey, the profound implications of galaxy-quasar co-evolution for our cosmic story. It is a concept that binds the destroyer and the creator together in a dance that spans the entirety of observable time. We used to view them as enemies, locked in a struggle for the gas that fuels both their hunger and their light. But the hidden glow has taught us that they are partners growing in lockstep, their fates intertwined by the laws of gravity. The size of the central monster is perfectly matched to the size of the galaxy that surrounds it, a balance maintained forever. It suggests that the black hole knows about the stars, and the stars know about the black hole, communicating through gravity. They regulate each other, a feedback loop that ensures neither grows too large without the other growing to match it perfectly. This changes the universe from a collection of accidents into a system of relationships, a web of connections that creates stability. We are witnessing the maturity of the cosmos, the moment when the violent outbursts of youth settle into a steady rhythm. The hidden stars we found are the anchors of this stability, the mass that holds the galaxy together against the chaos. They are the silent majority, the billions of suns that provide the gravitational bedrock for the drama of the central engine. Without them, the quasar would be a naked singularity, a chaotic storm without a home, drifting aimlessly through the expanding dark. And without the quasar, the galaxy might never have woken up, might never have compressed its gas into such brilliant forms. It is a symbiosis of the grandest scale, a biological metaphor applied to the cold physics of gas and dark matter. We feel a sense of relief in this understanding, a letting go of the fear that the universe is inherently destructive. It is not destructive, it is transformative, constantly recycling matter and energy to build structures of increasing complexity and beauty. The co-evolution tells us that we are the product of this partnership, the distant beneficiaries of the ancient pact between light and dark. The heavy elements in our blood were forged in the starbursts triggered by these ancient winds, spread by the quasar's breath. We are connected to the monster by a lineage of atoms, a chain of being that stretches back to the dawn. The realization settles deep in the mind, quieting the anxious thoughts of the day, replacing them with a vast, cool perspective. You are part of a system that works, a universe that knows how to build light out of the deepest darkness. The mystery of why the stars glow hidden around the brightest beasts begins to unravel into a simple, comforting truth. They glow because they must, because the pressure of the universe demands that light emerge wherever matter gathers together. They hide because they are fragile, wrapping themselves in dust to survive the intense glare of the central energy source. It is a cosmic game of hide and seek, where the prize is existence itself, and the players are billions of suns. We watch the game play out in slow motion, the red and blue lights flickering in the haze of the early years. The image is softening now, losing its sharp scientific edges and becoming a painting of pure color and deep emotion. We are drifting away from the data, letting the numbers dissolve into the background, leaving only the feeling of the presence. The presence of the stars is a comfort, a blanket of light that wraps around the consciousness and keeps it warm. It is a crowded universe, but not a lonely one. Every point of light has a companion, a neighbor in the dark. We are leaving the era of the first galaxies, floating forward in time, watching the structures mature and calm down slowly. The furious star formation slows, the quasar quiets, and the dust clears to reveal the majestic spirals we see today. But we carry the memory of the hidden glow with us, a secret knowledge of the fiery youth of the world. It reminds us that beneath the calm surface of the present, there is a history of intense, blinding, beautiful creation. The implications ripple out, touching our understanding of everything, from the formation of planets to the nature of life itself. If life requires heavy elements, and heavy elements require starbursts, then we owe our existence to these ancient, hidden storms. The monster in the dark was not our enemy. It was the forge that hammered out the conditions for our reality. We look back at the receding quasar, watching it shrink into a single point of light, indistinguishable from the other stars. It has done its work, played its role, and now it rests in the center of a galaxy that is sleeping. The sleep of the galaxy is a long, slow drift through the eons, a peaceful slumber after the frenzy of birth. We are joining that slumber, syncing our own rhythms to the slow rotation of the spiral arms in the void. The mind begins to mirror the cosmos, expanding and clearing, letting go of the clutter to find the empty space. There is peace in the empty space, a silence that is not absence, but the presence of infinite potential and rest. We are floating in that potential, weightless and free, untethered from the gravity of the earth and the day. The questions have all been asked, and the answers have all been given in the language of light and shadow. Why do stars glow hidden? Because light is the nature of the universe, the inevitable result of the gathered dark. It is a promise that no matter how deep the shadow, there is always a fire burning somewhere within it. We hold on to that promise as we drift deeper into the relaxation, letting the concept of the hidden glow soothe us. Imagine yourself as one of those hidden stars, wrapped in a warm blanket of dust, safe from the outside world. You are glowing with a gentle inner light, a steady warmth that radiates out into the quiet of the nursery. The noise of the quasar is far away, a distant rumble that cannot touch you or disturb your deep rest. You are surrounded by billions of others, a family of light huddled together in the comfort of the galactic core. There is no need to shine brightly. There is no need to be seen. It is enough simply to be there. The darkness around you is soft and protective, a velvet curtain that shuts out the glare and the cold. We are lowering the curtain now, drawing the shades on the documentary of the universe, preparing for the final fade. The visual stimulation is fading, the bright colors dimming to a soothing palette of deep blues and soft grays. The voice of the narration is slowing, matching the beating of your heart, becoming a whisper in the inner ear. We have traveled billions of light years, crossed the event horizons of understanding, and found our way back to peace. The journey is complete, the circle is closed, and the mind is ready to shut down the engines of thought. We are drifting on the surface of a dark ocean, the waves of time rocking us gently back and forth. The stars above are the only light, reflecting on the water, creating a path that leads into the dream. Follow the path, letting your eyes close, letting the weight of the body sink into the bed or the chair. There is nothing left to learn tonight, nothing left to analyze, nothing left to worry about in the vast cosmos. The universe is taking care of itself, balancing the forces, spinning the galaxies, tending to the fires of the stars. The room is dark, cool, and quiet, a sanctuary for the tired mind that has seen too much brilliance. Rest your eyes, those windows to the world, and let the inner vision take over, painting scenes of calm. See the darkness not as emptiness, but as a heavy, warm blanket that is being pulled up to your chin. It covers you with safety, with the assurance that you are protected by the same laws that hold the stars. Gravity is holding you, keeping you grounded, hugging you to the planet as it spins through the quiet night. Feel the gravity as a hug, a gentle pressure that says you are home, you are safe, you are here. The co-evolution of your body and the bed is perfect, a fit designed for comfort and for the release of tension. Let the tension flow out of your muscles, draining away like the gas flowing into the center of the galaxy. Let it go, let it flow, let it dissolve into the ether, leaving behind only the pure sensation of heaviness. Your limbs are heavy, sinking down, pulled by the gentle gravity of the sleep that is waiting for you. Your breathing is slow, rhythmic, mimicking the slow pulsation of the ancient stars we watched in the deep past. Inhale the peace of the vacuum. Exhale the noise of the world, cycling the air like a slow cosmic wind. The feedback loop is positive now, bringing relaxation with every breath, deepening the trance with every beat of the heart. The narrative is fading, becoming a distant murmur, a sound that is part of the background of the night. You do not need to listen to the words anymore. The meaning has already been absorbed into your dreaming mind. The words are just sound waves, gentle ripples in the air that smooth out the surface of your thoughts. We are drifting towards the horizon, where the sea meets the sky, where the waking world meets the world of sleep. The line is blurring, the distinction fading, the two worlds merging into one seamless experience of deep rest. The hidden glow is still there, deep inside you, a spark of life that rests while the body sleeps. It is safe to leave it there, safe to turn your attention away from it and towards the inviting dark. The dark is not a monster. It is a friend, a companion that walks with you into the valley of dreams. It is crowded with peace, crowded with silence, crowded with the absence of demands and the absence of light. Something ancient stirs in you, the primal need for sleep, the biological imperative to shut down and recharge. Listen to that stir. Honor that need. Give in to the heaviness that is pulling your eyelids down. They are so heavy, like curtains made of lead, falling to shut out the scene, to end the show. The show is over. The credits are rolling in the invisible ink of the night, unread and unseen. There is only the drift, the slow, aimless wandering through the corridors of your own quiet mind. You are floating past the memories of the day, letting them drift away like the companion galaxies in the void. They are getting smaller, further away, losing their detail and their power to hold your attention. There is only the now, the soft, dark now, filled with the comfort of the bed and the rhythm of breath. We are entering the final phase, the deep descent into the unconscious, the place where the stars are born. It is a return to the source, to the pre-stellar nebula of the soul, where everything is potential and nothing is formed. Rest there, in the formless dark, suspended in the fluid of the night, safe and warm and hidden. The universe is vast, but you are small, a tiny point of consciousness snuggled into the fabric of space. The vastness protects the smallness. The galaxy protects the star. The night protects the sleeper in the bed. You are protected. You are hidden. You are glowing with the faint, steady light of your own life. Sleep is the dust that hides you, the cocoon that wraps you, the shield that guards you from the glare. Wrap the dust around you tight, pull the darkness close, and let the outside world fade into nothingness. There is nothing out there that needs you. The universe can run itself for the next few hours of time. You are off duty, released from the watch, free to drift into the unknown territories of the dream. The unknown is gentle, a landscape of soft shapes and muted colors, inviting you to explore without fear. Drift into it, float into it, sink into it, letting gravity do all the work of taking you down. Down into the deep, down into the quiet, down into the place where the silence is absolute and pure. The ancient quasars are silent. The hidden stars are silent. The wind is silent. The dust is silent. The universe is holding its breath, waiting for you to sleep, creating a bubble of stillness around you. The bubble is perfect, unbroken, a sphere of peace that isolates you from the noise of existence. Inside the bubble, there is only you and the soft, rhythmic sound of your own slow, deep breathing. In and out, in and out, like the tides of the cosmic ocean, rising and falling. We are fading now, the voice becoming a whisper, the thoughts becoming mist, the mind becoming blank. The script is ending, the words are running out, the page is turning to white, to silence, to sleep. Let go of the last thread of attention. Let go of the last holding on. Let go. You are safe. You are warm. You are hidden. You are sleeping. The stars are watching over you. The galaxy is cradling you. The dark is comforting you. Drift, float, sink. Good night to the quasars. Good night to the stars. Good night to the light. Good night, good night, good night.